Tonight, chilling new details in a deadly pair of attacks, the terrorist massacre in New Orleans and a Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas. First, the new video of the truck attack on Bourbon Street that killed 14 people. The FBI now believes the ISIS-inspired attacker acted alone. 2 improvised explosives also found nearby. And after it was postponed, the Sugar Bowl kicking off under heightened security. Plus, the survivor speaking out from his hospital bed, what he recalls in the moment of impact, and honoring the victims, including a former Princeton football player, an inspiring nurse, and a single mom. Also tonight, new video of that Cybertruck before the explosion outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas. Police now saying the driver, believed to be an active duty soldier, suffered a gunshot wound to the head before the blast. What they found in the truck, and is there any link to the New Orleans attack? What the FBI is saying. Just in, the plane crashing into a building in California. What we are learning. The winter storm and Arctic blast we're tracking. Actor Justin Baldoni firing back after co-star Blake Lively accused him of sexual harassment. Baldoni's attorney on his new $250 million lawsuit. And after unspeakable tragedy, the musical tradition bringing Bourbon Street back.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening and welcome. Some looming questions about the deadly New Orleans truck attack are being answered tonight, including whether the attacker had help. The answer, we're now told, is no, according to authorities in New Orleans, who say Army veteran Shamsuddin Jabbar carried out the grisly attack alone, killing 14 New Year's revelers on the city's famed Bourbon Street. Today, Bourbon Street was reopened to the public. While not far away, tens of thousands descended on the Superdome to witness college football Sugar Bowl, all under the shadow of a massive police presence. Investigators say they have now tracked Jabbar's movements from Texas to New Orleans beginning on December 30th, and are now revealing more about video postings on social media in which he pledged his support for ISIS, and in another explain why he apparently changed his choice of targets. All this as investigators looking into the deadly New Year's car bombing in Las Vegas say very strange similarities give them more reason to wonder if there could be a link between the attacks, from the military background of the drivers to the cars they drove. But let's start in New Orleans. And Tom Yamas. Tom, how is the investigation proceeding so far?
Good evening, Lester. Well, the FBI has now given Bourbon Street back to the city of New Orleans, which has reopened, as you mentioned, but it looks much different. They've now added this hydraulic steel ramp, which will prevent vehicles from getting onto Bourbon Street. They've also added these barriers to the sidewalk. Remember, the terrorists jumped the curb and came through the sidewalk onto Bourbon Street. If these precautions were in place on New Year's Eve, that terrorist likely would not have gotten access. All of this as a makeshift memorial is now being put up here on Bourbon Street as the city insists it is safe for residents and for visitors.
Tonight, this new video showing the high-speed terror attack in the early hours of New Year's Day.
We got a white Ford. I need EMS. I can now in Bourbon now.
People celebrating on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, scrambling to dodge that white pickup truck the FBI says was driven by 42-year-old Texas-born Shamsuddin Jabbar. He died after crashing into a crane and getting into a shootout with police. This photo showing the truck and a black wheelchair belonging to Jeremy Sankey, who was knocked to the ground.
Cops were looking at me, and I know at this time that they were looking at me because I was still alive, and they weren't worried. They knew I was still alive, so I'm screaming, and finally somebody came over to me and just looked at me and said, "Listen, we know you're hurt, but you're alive." That's what they said to me, "You're alive."
But his legs were broken, and tonight he's still in shock over the killings.
I'm not against anybody like that. I love everybody. I love everybody, and I just can't believe that would happen.
14 people killed in the attack, dozens more injured and hospitalized. University Medical Center, New Orleans, treating the most critically wounded.
We had a mix of both blunt and penetrating trauma. We had patients that were injured from the vehicle going down the street, as well as some with gunshot injuries.
Authorities now searching Jabbar's Houston home, as well as a residence where he stayed in New Orleans, locating 3 cell phones and 2 laptops. And tonight, piecing together more information about the man who had an ISIS flag on the truck he used in the attack. We now know he was an Army veteran who at one point deployed to Afghanistan, worked as a realtor, property manager, and beginning in 2021, an employee at financial consulting firm Deloitte. But also, more recently, someone who posted videos expressing his desire to kill and his inspiration from ISIS. 5 videos the FBI says posted to Facebook in the moments before his deadly rampage.
In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers.
In this YouTube video posted 4 years ago, Jabbar is seen promoting himself as a trustworthy real estate agent because of his time in the military.
I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist, where I learned the meaning of great service.
But he appeared to be struggling financially, going through a divorce several years ago. According to public records obtained by NBC News, he lost $28,000 with his business in 2021, owed $16,000 in credit card debt, and wrote to a divorce lawyer in 2022 saying, "I cannot afford the house payment. It is past due in excess of $27,000 and in danger of foreclosure if we delay settling the divorce." According to family members who spoke to the New York Times, Jabbar was raised Christian but converted to Islam and recently had been barred by his ex-wife from spending time with their 2 daughters after acting erratically. The FBI says Jabbar claimed to have joined ISIS before the summer of 2024.
This was an act of terrorism. It was premeditated and an evil act.
The FBI, which initially said it did not believe Jabbar was solely responsible for the Bourbon Street attack, now says he appears to have acted alone, renting the pickup truck on December 30th and driving from Texas to New Orleans on the 31st.
We do not assess at this point that anyone else involved in this attack is involved in this attack except for Shamsuddin Jabbar.
According to the FBI, Jabbar also placed 2 explosive devices in coolers near the scene of the attack, one at the cross-section of Bourbon and Orleans Street, the other at an intersection 2 blocks away. 2 senior law enforcement officials say both devices contained nails inside of them and had receivers for remote detonation.
We did obtain surveillance footage showing Jabbar placing the devices where they were found.
And authorities are investigating a fire at the New Orleans house where Jabbar is believed to have stayed, saying it started after Jabbar was killed. Its cause unclear.
She was a loving, caring person. She loved her son.
Jessica Carvajal now among those in mourning. Her sister, Nicole Perez, killed in the attack. She leaves behind a 5-year-old boy named Melvin.
Do you remember the last thing you guys said to each other by any chance?
She texted me at 12 o'clock at night telling me, "Happy New Year, sis. I love you so much." And I told her I love you too. And I didn't know that was going to be her last text message.
In New Orleans today, Bourbon Street reopened ahead of the Sugar Bowl. The college football game delayed a day because of the attack.
We have brought in heavy trucks.
The police superintendent assuring people her city and their iconic street are safe.
And Tom, there's some new images tonight related to the attack there on Bourbon Street. What can you tell us?
That's right, Lester. The FBI releasing tonight some chilling new images. They show the terrorist walking through Bourbon Street as he was planting those explosive devices. And we're also seeing for the first time the coolers that the terrorist was hiding those pipe bombs in. The FBI says they were filled with nails. If they would have exploded, likely several more people would have died. Lester?
All right, Tom Yama starting us off tonight. Thank you. Now we want to go to Las Vegas, where police say a man blew up a Tesla Cybertruck in front of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas on New Year's Day. Morgan Chesky reports on his military special ops background and some serious unanswered questions.
Tonight, authorities identifying the suspected driver of the bomb-laden Tesla Cybertruck that exploded outside the Trump International Hotel, saying evidence points to Master Sergeant Matthew Livelsberger, who was behind the wheel. Now investigators piecing together the 37-year-old's ID and final few days.
First and foremost is a military identification. We also found a passport.
Authorities say the body was burned beyond recognition, but the coroner found a gunshot wound to the head prior to the explosion.
There are 2 tattoos that has given us a lot of confidence that this is, in fact, the same person.
Inside the truck, investigators found fuel canisters and firework mortars, plus 2 semi-automatic handguns they say Livelsberger bought legally on Monday. Sergeant Matthew Livelsberger was on active duty, served as a Green Beret assigned to Army Special Operations Command. He was based in Germany but on approved leave, according to Army officials. He was deployed multiple times and was a recipient of the Bronze Star with Valor. His motive tonight still unknown.
I'm comfortable calling it a suicide with the bombing that occurred immediately thereafter. I'm not giving it any other labels.
Livelsberger rented the Cybertruck in Denver on December 28th. Using data from Tesla charging stations, officials tracked his route through Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. On New Year's Day, he was first spotted in Las Vegas at 7:29. 5 minutes later, he's seen driving through the valet area at the Trump Hotel. He drives around for a while, and then at 8:40, he's back at the Trump valet. 17 seconds later, the Cybertruck explodes.
It's pretty scary.
In Colorado, stunned neighbors reporting seeing the active-duty soldier with a partner and young child.
They just had a baby, and we'd say hi to each other, and she was a really friendly person.
The FBI spending the last 24 hours searching at least one home in Colorado Springs.
What are they keying in on? So they'll look for clues for his motivation and his ideology. Are there pamphlets? And then additionally, is there any kind of manifesto that explains why he got to this point?
And Morgan, you walked us through his military background. Did authorities share any training he may have received that could have aided this?
Yeah, Lester, that's what's so interesting. Tonight, the ATF says when they examined this bomb, it was so rudimentary, so lacking in sophistication, they were surprised it was created by someone with this much military experience. Lester.
Morgan Chesky, thank you. Even some police officials are noting the uncanny similarities between the assailant in New Orleans and the one in Las Vegas. But they say it does not appear the attacks are related. Tom Winter joins us now. Tom, what more do we know?
Lester, besides the obvious that these two incidents occurred on the same day, the two used the same car rental service. They were explosives that were either used or attempted to be used. They both served in the Army. They both were at Fort Liberty at some point. But it's not yet clear they were there at the same time. And authorities are quick to mention tonight these coincidences, but also clearly saying they haven't found any definitive links and strongly noting the investigations are still in their early stages. Big picture, Lester, the type of attack we saw in New Orleans, a single person fueling their own radicalization and planning, is the concern law enforcement continues to have right now.
Tom Winter, thank you. We're also learning more names of those killed in the New Orleans terror attack. Tonight, we honor them, many of them so young, just taking a break to ring in the new year. An aspiring nurse, a college student, a single mom, among the 14 people celebrating the new year when their lives were stolen by what authorities say was an ISIS-inspired terrorist. 27-year-old Tiger Besh grew up in Louisiana and played football at Princeton. Tonight, I spoke to his mom and brother. Tell me what it's been like to be Tiger's mom for all these years.
He's been a shining star, a bright boy, a clever boy.
He was my role model, my whole family's role model, our inspiration, and now everything we'll do will be for him and through him.
Nikira Dado was just 18 and dreamed of becoming a nurse. Her mom posting, "When your parents say don't go anywhere, please listen to them. I lost my baby. Just pray for me and my family." 21-year-old Hubert Gothrow's mom saying he would give anyone everything. Hubert's last text to his family came just after midnight. He wrote, "I love you." Nicole Perez was a single mom. She didn't have a car, so she would walk to work to provide for her 5-year-old son. She told friends she was excited about New Year's Eve in the French Quarter. Drew Dauphin recently graduated from Auburn University, his family saying he could light up a room and that they're suffering more than anyone can imagine. 18-year-old Kareem Badawi just finished his first semester at the University of Alabama. Kareem was 6'5", but his dad saying he still always called his youngest the baby. Reggie Hunter adored his 11 and 1-year-old sons. His cousin telling us Reggie was a little guy with a big heart who didn't deserve this. And Matthew Tenedorio had just had dinner with his parents before he went out to ring in the new year.
25 years old, just starting life, had the job of his dreams. Our hearts go to all the other families that lost their loved ones too. We just grieving right now.
Promising lives cut short tonight. We turn now to breaking news out of California. A small plane crashing into the roof of a furniture manufacturing building near Los Angeles. At least one person was killed and 15 others injured. Officials say the plane was coming in for landing when it crashed just 200 yards from the airport. In 60 seconds, the FBI's new appeal, the new video of the suspect accused of planting bombs before the January 6th attack, and where the Arctic blast is taking hold. Next. We're back now with the heavy snow falling in the Great Lakes, more than a foot possible in some areas. It comes as a large winter storm is set to sweep across the country this weekend. Much of the I-70 corridor could see several inches of snow. Behind that, an Arctic blast will plunge temperatures from the southeast to the northern plains. Tonight, the FBI is making a new appeal for help in solving an enduring mystery. Who planted pipe bombs at the Republican and Democratic headquarters the night before the January 6th riot? Ken Delaney joining us now. Why hasn't the FBI been able to solve this in all this time, Ken?
Well, Lester, the FBI has clear video showing a suspect planting the bombs, but the person's face is obscured in every shot. And after reviewing 39,000 video files and visiting 1,200 locations, investigators aren't even sure of the suspect's gender. The FBI is releasing new video today that includes a new height estimate of the suspect of 5 feet 7 inches tall. And I spoke with the lead investigator who is asking the public for help.
I'm sure that there are people who know who the suspect is, and we'd really ask them to call us. Just because they didn't go off doesn't mean that they weren't intended to go off. That really could have seriously injured somebody or killed someone.
The FBI and local police are now offering a $500,000 reward for information. Lester?
Ken Delaney, and thank you. Up next, the feud between actors Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. Now Baldoni filing a $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times. We'll speak exclusively to his lawyer. Justin Baldoni is firing back after co-star Blake Lively accused him of sexual harassment. Baldoni's attorney speaking exclusively to NBC News' Liz Kreutz about his own allegations.
Tonight, Justin Baldoni's lawyer speaking out for the first time since Blake Lively accused the actor of unprofessional and sexually inappropriate behavior on the set of It Ends With Us and a coordinated smear campaign to damage her reputation.
Was there a coordinated smear campaign to bring down Blake Lively?
100% no.
Lively has filed a civil rights complaint and a lawsuit against her co-star, who also directed the film, where she claims that in retaliation for raising concerns, Baldoni and his team launched an online social manipulation campaign to destroy Lively's reputation. The New York Times published the first story about Lively's allegations. Now Baldoni and 9 other plaintiffs, including Baldoni's PR firm, are suing the paper for libel and say they plan to take further legal action.
Do you plan to sue Blake Lively?
Absolutely.
You will?
Yes.
In the filing, Baldoni's lawyers contend text messages were taken out of context or excluded, including one appearing to show Lively inviting Baldoni into her trailer while pumping, which they say refutes Lively's claim that Baldoni would enter her trailer uninvited while she was undressed, including when she was breastfeeding.
We plan to release every single text messages between the two of them. We want the truth to be out there. We want the documents to be out there. We want people to make their determination based on receipts.
In a statement, the New York Times stood by its reporting and said we plan to vigorously defend against the lawsuit. A lawyer for Lively said nothing in this lawsuit changes anything about the claims and her complaints. While Lively previously said, I hope that my legal action helps pull back the curtain on these sinister retaliatory tactics to harm people who speak up about misconduct. Liz Kreutz, NBC News.
You can see much more of that interview tomorrow on Today. We'll take a break. Up next, one of the most iconic streets in America defiantly comes back. Finally, even after tragedy, no one can keep the spirit of New Orleans down. Here's Gotti Schwartz.
In the heart of New Orleans, a call to arms among musicians.
reopening the beloved Bourbon Street with the sounds of strength and resilience.
You're celebrating the city, and at the same time you're mourning. Those are two almost opposite feelings, and yet you guys are doing it through music here, through the vibrancy of the city.
As we know through the great Louis Armstrong, music is a healer.
Glenn David Andrews played on the corner of Bourbon and Canal for some 20 years. Today, his notes are hitting a little differently.
To be in that number, now when the saints go marching in.
We're doing it to memorialize all those innocent people who lost their lives to this senseless act of terrorism. But more importantly, we want people to know that we're proud to be American. I'm proud to be a Louisianan, and I'm proud to be a New Orleans. And that we open, we're not afraid, we're not going to be scared, and we refuse to be terrorized.
And that means bouncing back as quickly as possible.
So we're in the process of just cleaning up.
For the beach bar owner, Christopher Prasad, who says there's no fear when it comes to big, easy hospitality.
It's a very tourist destination. But I bet tonight, all the locals will come out here to show support.
We're open for business.
And whether it's going to a game or lifting a horn.
You understand? All day long.
All of this is the way I know how to fight. It's the best way to fight, through music. Music is a healer.
Tonight, here on Bourbon Street, the healing has begun. Gotti Schwartz, NBC News, New Orleans.
And that is Nightly News. Thank you for watching. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.